Welcome to the Practical Growth Podcast. I'm your host, E.B. Johnson, top writer on Medium.com, published author, and master practitioner of neuro-linguistic programming. You've landed on the podcast that takes you on a journey into the heart of relationships and self-discovery. This is a must listen for those who are ready to overcome their toxic relationships and their toxic patterns. You can expect real talk, practical guidance, and raw and relatable guests that you'll be talking about for weeks. Let's get into it. Hello again, my lovelies. It is me, EB, your podcast host, your favorite Medium.com writer, and your favorite Narc Talk coach. And we are back with another great episode of the Practical Growth Podcast. That's right, I'm not leaving you in the lurch this week. We are here, we are showing up, we are doing it. And this topic, you're gonna love it. You're gonna love it. We're doing narcissistic collapse this week. Narcissistic collapse. If you are someone who has been attached to a narcissist for a long time, whether you're in a relationship or you're being parented by one, then you have seen this happen. You have seen narcissistic collapse. And today we're going to describe what it really is, how it affects everyone around the narcissist, and what we can do to protect ourselves from narcissistic. Before we jump in, though, I just want to give you your weekly coaching update. As you know, that's me pretty much booked out until January. January is when my next big 8-week program is going to kick off. Now, I do only have a couple of spots left in that January, February program. So if you're really keen to start 2023 off on the right foot, if you want to build your confidence, have clarity, have the strength to set boundaries and protect yourself from narcissistic abuse, then this is your time. You need to apply now. Now, I only work with 6 people at a time, okay? So this is a very limited opportunity. I do that to make sure everyone gets my full attention, make sure that they get the help that they need so that they can actually make the radical changes for themselves in their behavior that they desire to make. So if you want to apply for this program, you need to head to therealebjohnson.com/working with me, and you'll find all the details there. You can apply, you can send me a message, ask us questions, whatever you need to do. But if you are serious about making next year better than this one, about being more confident, about having emotional regulation skills, about having just skills to regulate your nervous system, then this is a program that you want to get involved with. So head over to therealebjohnson.com and you can find my application right there. All right, let's get into it. What is narcissistic collapse? What the heck am I talking about? Like, that just sounds like something completely random. It's not. It is not. Narcissistic collapse is actually what happens when a narcissist is exposed or humiliated in some way. So maybe they get outed at work as being, a fraud or being an abuser or being manipulative, or someone in the family who's kind of like outside of the immediate family group sees them for who they are and starts standing up to them, calling them out for who they are, or they get arrested. It's exposure, right? It's the narcissist being seen for who they really are. Because when it comes down to it, all narcissistic behavior comes from an inherently insecure and unstable place, okay? Narcissists do not have a stable sense of self, okay? That's why they completely validate themselves based on the opinions of other people, and they are insecure. They have to mask themselves with grandiosity and superiority because fundamentally they believe inherently that they are the weakest, lowest person in the room. So they are always striving to tear others down to make themselves appear better, okay? They're always trying to mask this brokenness and this core hole of insecurity that's inside of them. So when this gets exposed, when someone is able to peek behind the curtain and see that insecurity and see, oh, wow, you're just a big scared child, what happens is narcissistic collapse. Okay, this is narcissistic collapse. It is failure of the highest degree. Narcissistic defenses go completely out of the window, okay? They can't project on you anymore. They can't blame shift. They can't gaslight. They are just exposed. They are butt naked for all the world to see. And when that happens, not only will a narcissist obviously lash out and try to destroy anyone who exposes them, but they will also implode like a dying star. So what are the signs of narcissistic collapse? What exactly does that look like? Well, if you have ever lived with a narcissist for any extended period of time and they have had some kind of major failure or exposure along the way, you will know well that there is a very, very, very fast spiral that happens. So when this narcissist is forced into reality against their will, they are destroyed by fear, anxiety, depression, shame, and even like catatonic behavior. So one, anxiety, that's what you have to look out for. When a narcissist collapses, there is a through the roof explosion of anxiety. It's intense anxiety. And that's usually the start of the narcissistic collapse. They know that their deepest and darkest insecurities are going to come to light. So they become highly anxious, highly irritable. And that can be physical reactions, right? They'll get the elevated heart rate, sweating, sick to their stomach, shallow breathing. But they also have psychological reactions, right? You get that short fuse and their thinking becomes very erratic and disjointed. Next, what usually happens is the next level is depression. Okay. The narcissist is unable to face the harsh reality of exposure, of people actually seeing them as a human being just like everyone else. So they withdraw into a very dark and hopeless place. They might have suicidal ideations in this state. They'll withdraw socially. They may lean into addictive and risk-taking behaviors. And then you'll also see their emotional states again leveling up, becoming more erratic. You'll see sleep disturbances. You'll see changes in eating and drinking, just like anyone else who's going through depression. Next, what the narcissist encounters is shame, which is really, really, really quite interesting because most narcissists spend their lives putting that shame onto other people in order to manipulate and control them. But not with narcissistic collapse. With narcissistic collapse, you get a huge well of shame in the narcissist. Much of the depression and the anxiety that comes with their narcissistic collapse is actually shame linked. So if this narcissist has a history of childhood trauma, they'll have even more shame behaviors. And then they might trigger even more memories that lead into disturbances in their kind of adult life and their adult personality. So that you'll see this huge explosion of them. Once they've hit that anxiety and depression, you'll see that next level. It's this huge, heavy explosion of shame, this deep, deep shame that they will link to all their other decisions and beliefs. Fear is what usually comes into the picture next, okay? An extreme, extreme fear. That's a major part of the narcissistic collapse spiral. Narcissists fear being exposed for their bad behavior, their bad decisions, and their insecurities more than anything else in the world, okay? The masks that the narcissist wears is how they get their supply. And it's how they get power, and it's how they maintain literally every aspect of their personal lives. So when that mask is removed and the world sees who they really are, someone with NPD loses all control. They lose all the ways that they kind of manage the people around them. They lose their mask. And so basically they're shoved into a corner, and then you'll see a narcissist react like a cornered animal. And finally, with a lot of narcissists who are actually going through narcissistic collapse, there is like a level of catatonia, okay? Catatonic states. And if you've seen someone in a catatonic state, it can be really, 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 really scary, really, really shocking, okay? A narcissist who's kind of hit this bottom level of depression, they'll become almost lifeless. They can become almost abnormally still, slow moving. They move into almost catatonic states. They will just completely shut down. You might see them dissociate, crawl into bed, and refuse to leave for days and days and days at a time. They just like lounge around in the darkness and woe is me and everything is hopeless and just complete give up on life and love and hope and like anything that they once had. They just completely shut down because why? They have no more mask. The identity is destroyed. They don't know who they are. Their sense of self has been destabilized even more. It's spiraling through chaos. They are drowning in shame and depression and hopelessness. The narcissist at this point in the collapse is just basically untethered. So is there anything that we can do to help the narcissist? Like, what do we do to save them? Nothing. You do nothing to save them. They save themselves. This is a very hard reality that people don't like because we've created this narrative that if you love someone, you will do everything you can to absolutely rescue them, even if you're destroying yourself in the process. This like noble sacrifice, but it's ridiculous. Each one of us has to save ourselves. Each one of us has to become the people that takes the action, that makes us feel good, that makes us happy, that keeps us safe, that protects our well-being. And the same goes for the narcissist. You are welcome to stand in support of the narcissist from a distance and keep your heart open and be there with compassion, but you have to tread carefully with your empathy because they have a deficit of empathy, and that deficit of empathy is what they capitalize on in their victims, okay? That's what they feed on in their victims. And a narcissist, even in narcissistic collapse, is not humbled, okay? It still does not change the fact that they are a narcissistic person. And if you lean in too hard, you risk getting trapped again because of your empathy. So you watch from a distance and you can encourage them if you want to save themselves, but ultimately there's nothing you can do to save a narcissist from narcissistic collapse. They will save themselves, learn a lesson, and get better, or they won't. So what does that mean for you then? Well, it means that if you are attached to someone who is going through narcissistic collapse, the only thing that you can do is focus on protecting yourself and your well-being. Maintaining your boundaries, holding your standards high, and making sure you're not dragged down into the mess with them. Because make no mistake, a narcissist, again, is still a narcissist. They will drag others down into the spiral with them. Narcissists require others to soothe their emotions. The reason they fall into depression and catatonia and explosions and everything else is because they do not know how to manage or regulate their emotions. They do not know how to soothe themselves. They require the validation and soothing of other people outside of themselves. So if they are spiraling, they will expect everyone around them to spiral too, and they will make everyone else carry the burden of their heavy, negative emotional states. So if someone you're attached to is going through narcissistic collapse, the best and only thing that you can do for yourself is to protect yourself from the grand implosion. Well, what does that look like then? What does it look like to protect ourselves from a narcissist spiral? Because we are, when you're attached, you're kind of like at the mercy of their depression, their fear, their anxiety, as they're trying to scramble and hold on to whatever shattered piece of the mask they can try to hold on to, right? You will become their last source of power, and they will abuse the heck out of that to try to fill that supply back up. So how do you stop getting pulled into the spiral? First of all, you've got to maintain your emotional distance. That's the biggest part. Before we get into any other steps, maintain your emotional distance. It takes courage, but it also takes the knowledge, the absolute conviction that your safety and well-being are more important than protecting a narcissist from their own self-assured destruction. Because remember, narcissistic collapse is a result of a narcissist's bad behavior, manipulation, and Machiavellian control of other people. So if you want to protect yourself, number one, surround yourself with a support system. If you've got family and friends who love you, who believe you, who see what's happening, excellent. Lean into them. Get them to help you make a plan, okay? Tell them what's going on. Ask them questions. Ask for their advice. Let them fill you up with love and encouragement and build you back up so that you have the courage to stand strong and stand away from the narcissist who's in a spiral. If you don't have close family and friends, find them. Build a chosen family. Find professionals online. Find support groups online. Connect to people. Make sure people know that you're alive. Ask them questions. Get their advice. Get their perspectives. Read articles. Read books. Watch TikToks. There's literally no end to the ways that you can build a support network for yourself so that you can get advice, so that you can get encouragement. That's the first step in keeping yourself safe during narcissistic spiral. Number two, you need to focus on building your own emotional intelligence and emotional regulation. You cannot afford to be dragged into their reactions. You cannot afford to be goaded by them to become their plaything during this time. So you need to focus on your emotional intelligence. Who do you want to be in this moment? How do you want to react? How are they making you feel? Why are they making you feel that way? Should they be making you feel that way? What can you do to not feel that way? This is all a part of your emotional intelligence. At the same time, observe them. Okay, emotional intelligence is not just for yourself, it's for others. Once you understand your emotional experiences, you can then look to others and look for the patterns in their emotional experiences and try to understand where they're coming from, what they're going through. So watch the narcissist. Watch how they continue to try to manipulate or even how they try to help themselves. Pay close attention to the patterns. Number three, create safe spaces for yourself. Create safe spaces for yourself. This is not even just a matter of people. It's about literally a matter of four walls and a roof that you can go into if you live with a narcissistic person who's in spiral. You have no idea what depths a narcissist who has been completely exposed will go to, and you don't know how that will put you at risk. So you need to be prepared that you have a plan B. You have somewhere to go. You've got safe spaces where you can go and discharge for a little bit, decompress, get out of the negativity and the explosions and the constant emotional bombardments and the sometimes, borderline manic activity. Create safe spaces for yourself inside and outside of your home. Last but not least, you've got to make sure, above and beyond anything else, that you separate yourself from the narcissist image. And this doesn't even mean publicly, right? It's not about doing a public stand so that your reputation's not rubbed off by them. If you want to do that, you can do that. That's not what I'm talking about. That's outside of this. That's a different topic. This is on a personal level. You need to understand that their destruction is their destruction. It is not your destruction. It's not your responsibility. It is not your mess to clean up. What happens to them is on them. They've made the choices in their life. They've done the actions. They've had the beliefs. That's the result of the life that they have created for themselves. The only thing you can truly have power over is your own life. And you've got to make sure you do not allow yourself to be sucked in through pity for them and allow yourself to associate your personal worth, your personal value, your sense of self to who they are in this moment of collapse, because they will try to bring you into it. They will try to drag you down. It's up for you to hold the line and to remember, I am not this other person. I am not their mistakes. Who they have chosen to be and what they have chosen to do does not reflect on me. And that's essentially it. That's essentially it. If you're going through something with a narcissist who is in a collapse spiral, you need to separate yourself emotionally and physically from what's happening to the best of your ability. You need to surround yourself with people you can trust somehow, some way. You can offer them support, but you need to remember that you are not the narcissist life raft. There's no rescuing someone from a mess that they've made for themselves. You can't protect them from their choices anymore, especially not once the masks are off. Can't protect them from the life, the mess they've created, or the flaws in their own thinking, their short-sightedness. The only life you can manage is your own, so that's what you have to focus on. What you can control, what can still make your life happy and worth living. Their collapse is not your responsibility, no matter how much you may love it. And that is it for today's episode. Fun times. Fun times. What do you think? Did you get something out of that? Have you seen this collapse spiral in narcissists in your life? Have you seen a narcissist exposed in this way? It's a harrowing ride. But thank you so much for listening. I hope you did get something out of that. I hope this has improved your day, improved your outlook, or helped you see something in your life that you can now improve. If you love this episode, then you should think about leaving a quick little 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. I will give you a free ebook. All you've got to do is wait until that review goes live. Take a quick screenshot of it and send it to me on Instagram or by email, admin@therealebjohnson.com. And that's it. I'll send you a free ebook. It is really that dead easy. So if you loved it, head on over to Apple Podcasts, leave a quick 5-star review. For everyone else, I will see you this week. Lots of new articles on medium.com. Lots of new videos on TikTok. So you can find me there for your daily updates and advice on narcissistic abuse, narcissistic recovery, and trauma coaching. Until next week, guys. Keep your heads up. Keep your eyes on the stars. Bye-bye.